What if the infamous curse of the Pharaohs isn't just superstition? What if it's something far darker, a hidden form of biological warfare buried with King Tut's tomb? In this shocking documentary, we uncover new evidence that could change everything we thought we knew about the 1922 discovery and the mysterious deaths that followed. Join us as we unravel the secrets of ancient Egypt and reveal the terrifying truth behind the curse. This is a story you won't believe until you see it. It was one of the most sensational discoveries in the history of archaeology, the unearthing of the tomb of the boy King Tutankhamun in 1922 by British archaeologist Howard Carter. With it, a treasure trove of artifacts and the promise of unlocking secrets from Egypt's golden age. Yet, the discovery was shrouded in eerie mystery. Within months, several members of the excavation team, including Lord Carnarvon, the financier of the dig, died under suspicious circumstances. This ignited the infamous legend of the Curse of the Pharaohs, a supposed vengeful spirit of the ancient ruler, exacting retribution on those who dared disturb his tomb. For decades, this curse became the stuff of legends, the kind of tale woven into ghost stories passed down through generations. But as time passed, the curse faded into the realm of superstition and skepticism. That is, until documentary filmmaker Elias Carter, a great-grandson of Howard Carter, embarked on a journey to uncover the truth. His project was meant to be a fascinating exploration into the historical significance of the tomb and the fate of those involved. But what Elias discovered would not only shake the foundation of historical knowledge, but also challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient Egypt. Elias sat in his cramped office, the walls adorned with photos of Egypt, ancient artifacts, and faded family portraits. His grandfather's journals lay open on the desk, yellowed with age, filled with accounts of the excavation and the mysterious deaths that followed. It was the diary of one of the excavation team members, a man named Dr. William Matthews, that first caught Elias's attention. Matthews had been a junior archaeologist on the team, one of the few who survived the aftermath of the excavation. The diary was filled with strange entries, mentions of an illness sweeping through the camp, unexplained fevers, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Matthews wrote of his growing suspicions that something sinister was at play, but the entries abruptly stopped after November 1923. With the funding secured, Elias set off for Egypt, determined to meet the surviving relatives of the excavation team and gather first-hand accounts. As he stepped off the plane in Cairo, he felt a chill in the air, as if the land itself was alive with ancient secrets. Elias's first stop was the home of Sarah Goldstein, the granddaughter of Dr. Matthews. Sarah was a sprightly woman in her late 60s, with a keen mind and a passion for history. She welcomed Elias with open arms, having been intrigued by his family's involvement in the discovery. As they sat in her living room, surrounded by books and family heirlooms, Elias laid out his questions. "I've read my grandfather's diaries," Sarah began, her voice trembling slightly. "He never believed in the curse, but something happened to him after the excavation. He became distant, changed. He spent years in poor health, and we never understood why. But he had one thing that he was adamant about. His team was poisoned." Elias leaned forward. "Poisoned?" Sarah nodded. "Yes. He believed that the deaths weren't accidents. It wasn't a curse, as everyone thought. There was something more scientific behind it. Biological warfare." Elias was taken aback. He had always dismissed the idea of a curse as superstition. But Sarah's words lingered in his mind as he moved on to the next interview. His next subject was Jonathan Harewood, the grandson of Lord Carnarvon. Lord Carnarvon, the man who had funded Carter's expedition, was the first to die shortly after the tomb was uncovered. He had succumbed to an infected mosquito bite, a seemingly innocuous incident that spiraled into a deadly infection. His death, combined with the mysterious deaths that followed, had fueled the curse narrative. Jonathan was a soft-spoken man with a deep respect for his grandfather's legacy. "My grandfather didn't believe in curses," Jonathan said, sitting beside Elias in his study. "But he did speak about his concerns before he passed away. He often mentioned feeling as though he had been marked. There were whispers that he was infected with something during the expedition." Elias furrowed his brow. "Infected? By what?" Jonathan shook his head. He didn't know. But there were rumors of strange diseases in the tomb, things that couldn't be explained by modern medicine. Some of the team fell ill, but it wasn't just the sickness. It was the rapid decline in health. It was like they had been poisoned, but there was no trace of poison. The idea of biological warfare began to take shape in Elias's mind. Could the curse be something far more sinister than a supernatural force? What if it was a calculated attack, one that involved the very tomb the archaeologists had uncovered? Back in his hotel room, Elias pored over the records he had gathered. There was a consistent pattern among the deaths. Lord Carnarvon, Dr. Matthews, and others had all shown signs of severe illness, and they had all been in close proximity to the tomb. But what had caused the illnesses? He remembered one particular entry in Howard Carter's own journal, dated shortly after the discovery of the tomb. Carter had written of strange insects found inside the tomb, their bodies preserved in the arid climate. But Carter had dismissed them as insignificant, nothing more than a curiosity. It was then that Elias realized that these insects might be the key. They could have carried an unknown pathogen, one that was deliberately placed within the tomb. But who would have wanted to unleash such a deadly biological weapon, and why? Elias returned to the field, this time meeting with a renowned entomologist, Dr. Hana Farouk, who had spent years studying ancient Egypt's ecosystem. After examining the preserved insects from the tomb, Dr. Farouk made a chilling discovery. Some of the insects, particularly certain species of beetles, carried traces of a toxin never before seen in modern medicine. It was a biological agent that could induce fever, paralysis, and death, symptoms consistent with the illnesses suffered by the excavation team. This is not just a natural toxin, Dr. Farouk explained, her eyes wide with disbelief. This is something engineered. It's a form of biological warfare, one that may have been used by ancient Egyptians as a means of defense, protecting the tomb from tomb robbers or invaders. Elias was stunned. The idea that ancient Egyptians had developed such advanced biological warfare techniques was beyond anything he had ever imagined. But the evidence was undeniable. The toxin, once unleashed, could have infected the excavation team, leading to their rapid decline and death. As Elias continued his investigation, it became clear that the curse of the Pharaohs was not a superstition. It was an ancient form of biological warfare, a weapon designed to protect the tomb of Tutankhamun from the outside world. The mysterious deaths that followed the excavation were not the result of a curse, but rather the consequence of exposure to a deadly toxin, carefully preserved within the tomb. But the implications were even greater. This discovery raised the possibility that ancient civilizations may have used biological weapons long before modern science had even begun to understand the concept. The idea of a curse, passed down through centuries, was merely a veil to cover the more terrifying truth that the tomb of Tutankhamun held not just treasures, but deadly secrets. As Elias prepared to return to England, he stood before the tomb once more, reflecting on the lives lost in the pursuit of history. The curse, it seemed, had not been an act of vengeance from the afterlife. Instead, it had been an ancient safeguard, one that had claimed lives, not out of superstition, but due to a weapon that had been forgotten for millennia. The Pharaohs may be gone, but their legacy of protection, deception, and deadly secrets lived on. And Elias knew that the truth about Tutankhamun's tomb was far from over. The curse of the Pharaohs had been revealed for what it truly was, not a supernatural force, but a deadly biological weapon left behind by an ancient civilization determined to protect its secrets.